Hello and welcome into episode 1 of the Beyond the Arc podcast. I'm Talia Goodman here with my co-host Genesis Bryant. We're very excited to get this started. We're going to be talking all things women's hoops all season long, not just the Big Ten, not just the ACC. We're going to talk all of national college hoops. We're going to be giving some love to the mid-majors as well. So we're excited to hop in. And Genesis, I'm happy to be doing this with you.
Oh, happy to be here. I love talking about basketball, especially women's basketball. So I'm excited for this opportunity.
Yeah, for people who don't know, Genesis was a phenomenal player herself. She won't say it herself, I'm sure, but I spent the last 5 years watching her play in college. So very excited to get to do this with her. I was telling her before we started, one of the first games I was sideline reporter for. She was actually here. I'm in Bloomington. She was in Assembly Hall, and they almost beat the Hoosiers. And I remember, vividly watching her play over the years. So very excited to be here with Genesis and get this started as the season gets started in 5 days. Can you believe it?
And I feel like the season takes so long to develop. Once it's here, it is here. So I am so excited for all the teams, all the coaches, all the players. Just excited to be on the other side of it.
Absolutely. Genesis, tell us a little bit. I gave you the little intro there. I gave you a little bit, but tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing, post basketball now.
Man, so it was a hard decision. After finishing my college career, I was deciding on professional playing overseas or again to the media space, broadcasting, podcasting, and all the above. And although it was a hard decision, I decided to retire the sneakers and to pull out the heels and just get in the media side of basketball. I'm broadcasting for the Big Ten, also for UGA, for Florida State, and also Georgia Tech. Really excited to get into just everything that this entails. I had an amazing career at the University of Illinois. Went to two NCAA tournaments, and just left a legacy there that I am excited for them as well. But yeah, I'm just excited to just talk about women's hoops, give people more exposure, and just give the game what it deserves.
Absolutely. Well, as sad as I am to not be able to watch you on the court anymore, I am very happy you decided to go this route because that means this podcast has come to life. And
Yeah.
uh, for people who don't know, my name's Talia Goodman. I cover national women's basketball for On3 and do some recruiting stuff with Rivals as well, the two together. And this podcast is on the Field of 68. So we're like a trio of groups here, which is exciting. And I've been covering the sport nationally for the last, I think it's almost been 3 years. And I love it so much and have a blast doing it every year and have been literally counting down. Now it's, almost the hours until the season gets started again. So I'm super excited. But yeah, we're going to be doing this podcast once a week is the plan right now. And we're going to be giving you all things, women's college basketball. It's not just going to be us talking to you either. We're going to have some special guests on, hopefully every week to talk through it with us, whether that's a coach who had a really big game or a player who's been going off lately and we need to talk to him. We're gonna be having guests on all the time.
So excited about that. I mean, we're gonna have some very special guests, so y'all stay tuned.
Oh yeah, we can't give anything away just yet, but we got some plans. We were talking before we started recording. We got some plans for you all. But with just 5 days to go, 5 more sleeps, as I like to say, until the season starts. We want to give a little preview to the season this year, and there's a lot to look forward to. There are so many storylines, and we unfortunately will not be able to get to every single one of them in this, probably 30-minute podcast that we're filming right now. But we want to give you the highlights. So we're going to go through, here's our plan. We're going to go through 5 players that you need to keep an eye on, 5 teams that you need to be watching, and then, 5 overarching storylines of the women's college basketball season. Genesis, where do you want to start?
Who are 5 players? Who are the top 5 players to be watching this season?
All right, I'll give you number 1. I'll tee up here, and then I'm gonna let you go crazy talking about her because she's been one of the best players in women's college basketball for years now. And that's Olivia Miles, who is not, on the Fighting Irish anymore. Been there for a while, had the chance to enter the WNBA draft, opted not to, and I think people were surprised by her deciding to transfer to TCU. Were you surprised?
Who wasn't? And the reason why I wasn't is because of NIL and just
Yeah.
the landscape of college sports right now. You make more money in college right now than the pros. So making that decision, it didn't really surprise me. I think TCU is a perfect fit for her. I mean, we see what happened with Haley Van Lith and just a turnaround she had at TCU. So I'm excited to see Olivia Miles kind of continue in those footsteps. I mean, she's known as a triple double queen. I mean, ever since her freshman year in Notre Dame, she has just increased in just her awareness of the game and her maturity. So I'm excited to see if she can kind of live up to the standard that Haley Van Lith did as that number one point guard at TCU.
I think the expectations are so high for her heading into this year. And obviously we've seen what Mark Campbell can do with transfers. We're gonna get into that a little bit later, I think. But yeah, the expectations for her are incredibly high. Obviously, she was projected to be, a top draft pick, not just get drafted, but a top draft pick in the WNBA draft. And so I think this year, hopefully will be about, improving her defense a little bit because her offense, I don't think needs much work. Last year, averaged more than 15 points a game, almost 6 assists, and she shot the ball really, really well last year, 41% from deep, which is, a big improvement in her college career and something that really stood out to me. But I think her defense is the area that maybe she's looking to improve this year. And so we'll see if Mark Campbell can work his magic on her. But I think she's probably the most high profile transfer addition for any team, right?
I would agree. I would agree.
I mean, I think, like you said, it's a good move for her to go to TCU, and I'm excited. She's obviously going to be like the centerpiece of that offense, and probably I'm not looking at it, but she's got to be the shortest player on that team, considering how tall everyone else is. But
I mean, you could tell that Mark really went for length when it came to the portal, just the structure of his team, and we could see how that can give a lot of teams some troubles this year.
yeah, you don't have Sedona Prince, but look who else you got now. At that height, it's definitely going to be really interesting. So she's one player that I'm definitely, I'm going to be watching every time she's on the court and seeing what she can do to either improve her WNBA draft stock or get a national championship, maybe. We'll see. But she's one of them for sure. Another one, we're going to move to a league you're very familiar with, Jess. We're going to talk about Lauren Betts, who you've had, I don't know whether it's the pleasure of playing against, but you've played against her. Tell me a little bit about her game and why we need to be watching her.
Lauren is just so versatile. Like, not only is she 6'7", but she's mobile. A lot of what UCLA does is they switch 1 through 5. So she can be guarding a point guard because of her length and her versatility. She keeps them in front, and then she has amazing feet and quickness with her hands. So she is going to be a problem. She already is a problem, but she is going to be a problem. I know this offseason she worked on her game and just becoming even better as an overall player. I'm excited to just see how she really takes this team to the next level. I mean, Final Four last year, there's only one more step to get past. So I'm looking forward to see what UCLA and Lauren Betts does this year.
No, exactly. And we talk about height with TCU, but you don't see many, 6'7" players in women's college basketball. So a little bit unique, obviously, and we've seen what she can do. I think she's a real, National Player of the Year contender as we head into this season. And UCLA, high expectations, and she is, the primary reason for that. I would say, if you don't know Lauren Betts, I don't know, but with her on the court, she's pretty unstoppable. So. Obviously, UCLA is a team to watch, and we're not going to mention them specifically in that because we're talking about Lauren Betts here, and she makes that team more watchable, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's talk about someone else who is personally one of my favorite players to watch in women's college basketball. I'm in the state of Indiana, so I'm seeing her, a whole heck of a lot, and I I don't know about the team this year, but she is all as long as she's on a court, I will be watching. Everyone will be seated. You know that's the truth. It's Hannah Hidalgo, right?
Yep.
Has had phenomenal season. She's probably the best two-way player in women's college basketball. I don't know if you disagree with that. I think that title's
I agree.
yeah. I think that title is hers. She is like so much fun to watch. Just, entertaining basketball, right? And she might be the only reason Notre Dame is in my top 25 right now. The whole team, we talk about kind of the landscape shifting, and everyone, for the most part, transferred out of Notre Dame this offseason or graduated and is in the WNBA or whatever it might be. But they're left with Hannah Hidalgo. You get a few transfers who I think will make an impact. but there's not a lot of depth on that team. So is it just like in your eyes, is it Hannah Hidalgo carrying this team, or do you see them as more than that?
I think with Hannah, what she did, because Notre Dame is a historical great women's basketball school. So for her to break the single season Notre Dame scoring record, I think that speaks volume to who she is as a player. But then how she does on the defensive end and how she gives so much intensity on both sides. I think when you have a player like that, she makes up for other people's mistakes and maybe not even a lack of depth with the team. So I'm really excited to see her kind of really have to push to that leadership role with Olivia Miles transferring out.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see what she can do there to keep the momentum going because obviously they had such a phenomenal season last year and loved watching them, but they're so different heading into this year, which is just like the culmination of all of college sports right now. It's what you're seeing every year. It's not just, players graduating out anymore that's changing things. It's the portal. It's like you said, a little bit of NIL maybe. And so we'll see. They're a big, question mark for me other than Hannah Hidalgo. She's like the reason that I'm still high on them because, you can't doubt a team that Hannah Hidalgo's on. You can't.
Exactly.
Can't do it. The next player here is one that, maybe people don't know a ton about yet. I'm sure USC fans do. They know a lot about her and they're excited to watch her. But a lot of people might not know because she's a freshman. And she finished, not in On Three's rankings as the number one freshman, but in ESPN's rankings as the number one freshman
Mhm.
entering this season. And that's Jazzy Davidson, who I have watched a lot of, and I love what she can do. I love what she can do. She can do everything. Like, genuinely, she can do everything. And she'll be expected to do a lot on this team this season. She's going to have really high expectations coming into it for a USC team that has a lot of newness, a lot of new
Mhm.
pieces. A lot of players graduated, a couple transferred out, like we talked about with Notre Dame. They're in kind of similar spots in a way. Uh,
Yeah,
but Jessie Davidson's going to have a lot on her shoulders this year.
she will. I mean, when a player like Juju Watkins get hurt, as a freshman, she's gonna have a lot of expectations, not necessarily to replace Juju, but to really fill those shoes the best way that she can. I know it's gonna be a learning curve as freshmen. All freshmen have that learning curve, but she's gonna be able to play through mistakes, which a lot of freshmen don't always get on the college level. So I'm excited to see how she kind of fills that role. Even with Kiki graduating and she went on to the WNBA, they're losing a lot of scoring talent. So I'm curious to see how they fulfill those roles and how returning players even step up even more.
Yeah, like you said, kind of expected to fill part of the hole that Juju Watkins is leaving, and I think we need to give her a little bit of grace as she steps into that because
Yeah.
she's just a freshman, right? And I do. I think she's gonna do phenomenal things. I don't know if it's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve. We haven't got to see them play in any way, shape, or form yet. They had some closed scrimmages, I believe, but not anything open to the public. So I'm excited to see her on a court and see what she can do because I think it's her and Kennedy Smith at the helm of this, and they're going to be the
Mhm.
ones, carrying this program as far as they can get this year.
I'm excited. I'm excited. USC is definitely a question mark for me this year.
Yeah, they're interesting. And then the last, player I want to highlight, and there are so many more that I'm telling you, I could probably talk for 3 hours just about, we could go through 150 players, and I'd love, but the last one I really want to talk about is a player who just had like a phenomenal, like, you can't even, there aren't even the words to describe her season last year, and already has a national title under her belt, which not many sophomores can say, and that's Sarah Strong. And I think she's another national player of the year candidate, six sophomore heading into this year. UConn has a chance to go back to back. Average 16 and a half points last year, 9 rebounds, I think almost 4 assists per game. She can do everything, and she will do everything with this team. She can make shots from anywhere on the floor. She's a very advanced player and one that UConn needs.
For sure. I think what I have heard a lot of Maya Moore comparisons with
Yeah.
Sarah Strong, which that is some big shoes to fill. So the fact that she has that level of expectation going to this year. And then she won a national championship run, and she was a big factor on the reason they won the championship. So Sarah Shaw, I mean, you lose Paige, which is, of course, a really big loss. But I think they're in good hands. I mean, you can never count Gino's team out. So I'm excited to see how Sarah Shaw just builds in that leadership and kind of be that maturity on the team.
Well, this moves us perfectly into our 5 teams segment because
Mhm.
UConn is they're number one on my list that I want to keep talking about because, like I said, I really do think they have a chance to go back to back this year with all that they bring back and how rare that is in this day and age. Obviously, like you said, you lose Paige, which is major. You can't fill those shoes. You can't. But they bring back so much, and they're finally. I'm knocking on wood right now. If you can't hear, they're finally healthy, which is the biggest thing for them. That's the key for
Right.
them is staying healthy because they've had so many injuries over the past few years and it's hurt them so much. And you hate seeing injuries, especially to really, really talented players who could change the trajectory of a season, right? But AZ Fudd, she's healthy. They got a few players coming back from injury that are good to go now. And you add a couple players one that you probably know a lot about in Sarah Williams, right? From Wisconsin. Tell me, what does she bring to UConn?
She is another versatile big in our league. I mean, the way that she can stretch out the floor, she has a good mid-range jumper. I would like to see her kind of develop at her three-point range. Because if she could shoot the three as well, you got a guard at three-point line. That's a deadly weapon. Just at her height, her versatility, we had to double her. We had to send doubles every time she tapped the ball because that's how good of a player she is. So to put her into the system with Gino and UConn was playing with Sarah Strong. I think this is definitely a good fit for her, and I'm excited to see how she learns the system, how quick she adapts to the Yukon nature.
Do you think they could go back to back this year? Do you think they have the talent?
Back to back is always hard. I mean, we see very few teams actually get back to back championships, but I do think if they can stay healthy, and also if they can stay together, I think that they have an opportunity to possibly get back into a national championship.
I'm excited to see it. And I think, like you said, it's hard. It's hard to do, but I think this, if there was a year for it, this would probably be the one. I don't know. Like I said, with the portal, there aren't many teams, staying together in that way. And UConn's one of the ones that was able to do it. Like really impressive stuff. Didn't lose any, really significant pieces to the portal, which is always impressive. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, so I'm excited to see if they could potentially go back to back, but there's another team kind of riding the coattails, maybe wanting some revenge for last year that comes back really strong too, and not as healthy, unfortunately, as UConn is right now, but still so much talent on this team, and that's the South Carolina Gamecocks. Tell me what you like about them.
Well, actually, I just saw on social media that UConn's page and Don State was kind of going back and forth with some subliminal Twitter posts, which kind of gets the fans excited for the season. I mean, you can never count out Don Staley and her team, what she has been able to develop down there in Columbia, South Carolina. It's an exciting thing to see. I also look forward to how they develop during the SEC season to prepare them for March Madness and just kinda how they have different games, like, South Carolina and UConn don't play the same style of basketball, but in their respective ways that they play, it's like it's a perfect kinda going head to head type of game, so I would think South Carolina has a big chip on their shoulder. I mean, it's either championship for them or they underdelivered, so that's the standard that Don has set for that program, and I'm excited to see what they do as well this year.
No, it's true. I mean, they're always going to be well coached, just like UConn. But like you said, and this brings me to kind of a separate point, a little tangent maybe. But you were talking about how you're excited to see what they do in SEC play, and I think that's something we need to talk about a little bit with UConn because the Big East, while full of good teams, it's definitely not the same strength of schedule as the SEC is. So South Carolina more opportunity in conference play, but UConn, their non-conference schedule, they always go hard. I love when they play non-conference games in February. It's like my favorite little what's the word, reprieve from like reality. I get to watch some non-conference basketball in February. So I'm always so interested by the way that Gino schedules because you kind of have to, right?
Yeah, and I think that's also a good point that you bring because in the SEC is dogfight day in and day out, all the way up until March Madness, where UConn can kind of have, like you said, the Big East is a great conference, but they kind of have some games where they might rest players a little bit longer and they might have a blowout game and they kind of rest their legs a little bit. And I think which one do you sway towards the experience of the SEC or some of the rest that you get from playing the Big East? Which one comes out better? And I think that's a test of time to see which side is better.
Exactly. Well, last year it was UConn that came out on top, but we'll see. We'll see what happens this year. I want to get back to South Carolina briefly and just kind of talk about what they have going on because they have so much talent. Like there's no question about the talent they have. My question is about the depth that they have because Ashlyn Watkins won't be playing basketball this year. Chloe Kitts recently announced to have torn her ACL and be out for the year. And I feel like there's so many more torn ACLs in recent history, and I hate it so much. And it's so upsetting. And I wish, it wasn't happening as much as it is. So obviously a big loss to not have her play this season. But you bring back someone named Joyce Edwards. You add Tanaya Latson into the mix, who you played. I was there for that game. You played last season. You said beat her, but she had a phenomenal. And she, was one of the leading scorers of the country last year. Another one, along with Olivia Miles, probably the second biggest transfer addition for any team. You add her, you add Medina Okad, who's a true big, who apparently has 3-point range. I don't know if I believe it yet, but I saw something on media that says she can shoot the ball, so I'm looking forward to see if she can. And you have talented freshmen coming in, and freshmen are freshmen, and we'll see what happens with them. But besides them, you return a lot of experience, you add a lot of experience to the mix. You lose Malaysia Full-Wiley, which we'll talk about maybe in a little bit. But the talent is not something I'm doubting. It's the depth. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I think injuries are something that you can't prepare for. They just happen. It's an unfortunate thing, but it's a part of our sport. So I think if South Carolina can stay healthy with the squad they have, I think injuries that would just hurt them even more. I would see Raven Johnson playing a big role in South Carolina. And also, Raven Johnson and Nia Lotzner were high school teammates and also AAU teammates in Georgia. So getting that kind of sistership and playing on the court, I think that will be a benefit to you, South Carolina. And I'm curious about them. And Raven Johnson could have went, she could have left, she could have transferred, she could have entered the WNBA trial, but she chose to stay, which shows a high regard for the South Carolina program and the culture. So I'm curious to see that she's on her get back season. I think she wants another national championship before she actually goes out to the WNBA. So she might be playing with a different level of competitive this year.
Yeah, like you said, the expectations are crazy there. It really is like title or bust for them, which is, to say, but it's true with the talent that Don Staley puts together every year. You don't want to underestimate them at any point in the season, even if they're, only playing 10 players, right? Even if they're only
Exactly.
10, if they're however many, you don't want to doubt what they can do over there. But I do, people might say that I am doubting them because I had them at number 3 in my top 25, and ahead of them, I did have the Texas Longhorns. I'm really high on that. I'm really high on Texas heading into this year. Do you agree with me? First of all, probably not. Do you agree with me that they should be above South Carolina?
I've never played South Carolina in my time in Illinois, but we did play Texas in a tournament last year. And what Texas does you defensively, like, yes, we know how they are offensively, but defensively, they wear you down. They press you the whole game. They're denying the balls. They're playing man to man, hardcore, and they have depth. They have people that come in and do the same thing to you all game. So I think Texas is actually going to be definitely a Final Four, but they have the potential to be in a national championship just with what they do on both sides of the court. I mean, Vic have shown that he values defense, and you can tell by his teams and the product that he puts on the court. So I'm not totally against you putting Texas at number 2.
The one thing they needed to work on, and I talked to Vic about this probably a month ago, and he was like, well, I'll tell you what it is first. One thing they had to work on was shooting, right? I think everyone,
Yes.
they didn't really shoot the ball. They didn't really have anyone who could shoot the ball, and that's what he said to me. He was like, I love taking 3-pointers, but I love making them even more. So if you can make them, that's when he'll start taking them. And I think he has the personnel that can do that. Aaliyah Crump, a freshman coming in, she can really shoot the ball. I think she'll make an impact right away for them. And then Ashton Judd, who is, going to be out for a little bit with an injury, but is expected to come back. She can shoot the ball as well. So I think she is someone who, when she's back, will elevate this team, but they have enough without her. I really think they do. I think you bring back like a lethal duo and Rory Harmon, Madison Booker. Like, I am not doubting what they can do.
Mm-mm.
Right?
They are a dynamic duo. I mean, the way that both of them play off of each other, their pick and roll game is almost unstoppable. Like they know what they want and they get to their spots. That's what's so important. They love the mid-range game. And you can tell they rep it a lot and they really just get to their spots. And if you get them a free mid-range, it's just like a layup for them.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Well, we've gone through these are my top three teams that I have in a different order. I should have asked you, who's your number one team? Is it one of these three? Is it someone else? Who do you think, if you had to make a top 25 right now and vote, who would it be?
I think personally, I feel like you have to keep UConn as number one. So I will agree with you, number one, they're the defending champs. But I think LSU, I think with their transfers and just Flaw J. Johnson and Malaysia, I think they can really do some damage in SEC. They're one of those ones also. I think theirs is title or bust. So there's a lot of teams fighting for that Final Four and that championship title. And I don't think you count out LSU and Kim Mulkey and just they have a chip on their shoulder as well. They want to be in those conversations. I think sometimes they get overshadowed with the South Carolina and the UConn. But I think they want to be in those top two and top one conversations. So I'm excited to see what they do this year. Yeah.
No, I like you bringing them up because that's another team I wanted to talk about 1,000%. You mentioned a few of the players that are obviously really important to them. I think the thing for me, and I think they have so much talent and they're going to be really good by the end of the year. I just think it might take them a little time because I think
Mhm.
their freshmen are going to have to play a role, and I don't know how they'll look early on. I think, you graduate all your post players or have them transfer out. You have a lot to replace there, and I have no doubt about their guard play, not in the slightest. The only maybe question mark for me is Kim Mulkey said Malaysia might be playing a little bit of a different role there, maybe more of a
Right.
guard, and we saw Haley Van Lith come in and try to switch her role and it didn't necessarily work out. So maybe, maybe she learned from that and she's doing different things. And she's gonna get it right with Malaysia now. But uh, I'm intrigued to see how she fits in that offense. And I'm interested to see who's going to start in the post for them. Like, I really don't know. Like, I think it's kind of a question mark for me. And Grace Knox is one of my favorite incoming freshmen in the country, and I think she'll make a real impact. You add Kate from Notre Dame, who had a good freshman year. I think she'll grow this year. But there's some unknown, and I think, like you said, the ceiling is incredibly high. Like the ceiling is title, no question about it. But I think the floor might be a little bit lower than it's been in past years because there is so much different on this team.
Yeah, and I think that's also with freshmen, you really can't put a lot of pressure on them because you never know how they develop over the summer and over the preseason. So it is a question mark to see how quickly those freshmen can play those big major roles for LSU this year.
Yeah, speaking of a big freshman, I want to talk about Aaliyah Chavez, who's on Oklahoma, which is my fifth team we need to watch, and there's so many, and I've said that so many times, but Oklahoma is one of the ones you need to keep an eye on because of this particular storyline, which is Aaliyah Chavez coming into not only women's college basketball but the SEC, which is not an easy place to come into as a freshman. With like Jazzy Davidson, so much weight on her shoulders, right? Like there's got to be so much expected of her, and I've heard that she's done a phenomenal job adjusting. Maybe had some freshman moments, I don't know, and I'm sure she will have some freshman moments, but she's a phenomenal, all around player, and I'm excited to see what she can do in this offense. She's gonna have to take on a big role early, even though, and this is one of my favorite things about Oklahoma, which is why I'm so high on them. They bring back a lot. They bring back so much. They said, I'm not gonna mess with the transfer portal. I don't need to go in there and get anyone else. I got my team set. You guys can worry about that, and we're gonna stick here with what we got. And so I'm excited because she's obviously the one kind of unknown that we haven't seen on Oklahoma yet.
Yeah, I think that's so big. When you have retainment on a team, you can really kind of build that culture. So Aaliyah just comes in and just adds to the culture. I think it's hard as a freshman if you have a lot of transfers. Everyone is just so new and everyone's trying to adjust. But when you gotta have a solid core and solid culture, it's an easier transition for those freshmen. So I think that is definitely going to play to our benefit this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And those are just like five of so many teams to watch. I put on Twitter today that like I'm such a nerd. I made a spreadsheet of all the games I'm gonna watch on Monday. And there are 30 that I'm at least gonna keep an eye on. That's teams technically that I'm keeping an eye on my
Gotcha.
there's a lot and we're gonna get into this, I think, but there's just so much parity and it's so fun this year. And as I was making my top 25, I was like, oh my God, there are like 10 more teams I wish I could squeeze into my top 25. So I really should make it a top 35.
Exactly. I mean, this is what women's basketball is all about. It used to be just the UConns and the Tennessees and just they was up here and then everyone's like tier two, tier three. But now it's free range. Anybody could upset people. I think we saw that last year with NC State going to the Final Four. No one predicted them to have the season they did. But again, you can't count Westmore team out. He always builds good talent and good team. So I think that's just an example of like how open it is, and you can't take a game for granted. I think the March Madness this year, I think it might be the best one yet. Just how it's so spread out. I'm really excited to see this season.
Yeah, NC State's one that we talked about a little bit before this as kind of a maybe a dark horse to I don't know win the title but make it far in March Madness, right? I labeled them the party crashers whatever 2 years ago when they made the Final Four, and I think that was a fitting name for them, but now people see them coming, right? Like people know what Westmore can do there. Obviously they have Camille Pierre coming in, which I think was the missing piece for them. They didn't really have a versatile post player, and now she comes in, and I don't know how the waiver worked to get her there because she entered the portal late, but she's there and she's playing, and it's huge for them.
It definitely is. I mean, you lose a lot with Sanaya Rivers and Isaiah James going to the WNBA. But I think they have some good guards that was under them, but kind of I feel like they took them on their wing, and I think they're ready to just have a breakout season this year. And like you said, they struggled at at the five areas. So to see them get that addition, I think you really cannot count them out. I feel like for them, it's probably a Final Four or bust because they got there. So now it's like trying to get to that national title. So I'm excited to see them as well.
Yeah. Tilda Trigger's one too, who like maybe didn't have the flashiest year last year, but is someone who I think could have a breakout season this year. And people didn't know a lot about her. I didn't know a ton about her heading into last year, but I saw them, play Clemson and looked a little young, right? But as the season went on, I was like, oh my God, Tilda Trigger, like, yeah, I like it. I started seeing from her. And I think she has real opportunity this year. And then, like you mentioned, yes, they lose a lot, but their guards are really good. Like, I don't know how much you had a chance to watch them last year while you were playing, but like Zoe Brooks, Zam, like they're really good.
They are really good, and they're so fearless. I think when you have guards that just fearless and that goes in the paint and they have so much excitement around them as well. It makes a great team and they have so much energy on both sides of the court as well. And I just think Wes Moore did a perfect job in assembling this team. He has so many different pieces that I think they're going to cause problems in the ACC. I think they, for me, might be the front runners to win an ACC championship. But I think for March Madness, they're definitely my dark horse that makes it to the Final Four again.
All right, well, there's your dark horse. I'm gonna give you. I got a couple, but I'll pick one for now. I'm gonna give you Tennessee as my dark horse candidate. They return some, but it's not really for me. Obviously, Ruby Whitehorn and you return some pieces that I'm very excited about. But it's what they add that I think could be the difference maker. They bring in one of the best freshman classes in the country, and I think they're going to make an impact early with the way that they play over there, that Kim Caldwell likes to play with those hockey style substitutions.
Right.
I know people are judgmental of it, but I love it. And it's fun basketball and it gives players a little bit to breathe. And it's different from like anything we've seen in women's college basketball that I can remember. So I think it's fun. They have the talent to play that way. They have the depth. They got a couple transfers that I'm interested to see how they come over and play. Like Janiyah Barker, like I think has a lot of potential. I'm excited to see how she looks on this team. And Nia Robertson from SMU, I think is going to be very, very good for that. But I think they're my dark horse right now, although I don't know if they're necessarily a dark horse and it's that people are paying attention to them, but they're my dark horse in that I actually do think they could win a title this year.
I think that's high hopes. I think with Janiyah Barker, she's going to be the one I really look to really make an instant impact because at UCLA, I mean, she was sixth player of the year. So she had those high expectations. I'm sure she'll probably be starting for Tennessee, and she played at Texas A&M first. So she knows the SEC. She knows the battles day in and day out, which is to her advantage. And I think you might be on to something. I think if they can really gel together with the transfers and the returners, I think they can have something special as well.
Yeah. I want to quickly shout out maybe a couple more teams that I think could be dark horse contenders, right? And I think Ole Miss is one of them. They get Cody McMahon, who you know pretty well, right? And she's tough. She's tough. Like She's tough to play against. I loved watching her at Ohio State. I'm very excited to see what Coach Yo can do with her at Ole Miss now. And they just reloaded, like almost completely reloaded. And so they're kind of in a TCU-esque situation where I'm like, I don't know how these pieces will come together quite yet. But I'm feeling they will.
Coach Yo, she calls herself the transfer queen. I mean, she loves the transfer portal. She gets great fits for her program. I think that's an important thing too. She don't just get anybody, but great fits who fit her style of play. She loves defense. So I think you may be on to something with this one as well. I can see Ole Miss being up there in that conversation.
Give me one more of your dark horses before we move on. Who's someone who maybe we need to be paying more attention to, or you think I'm too low on that you want to bring some attention to?
I would say Maryland.
Yeah.
I think Brenda Freeze and what she does, how much WNBA talent she produces year in and year out. Bree McDaniel is coming off from injury. They have Yarzan, who transferred in from Indiana, who's a deadly three-point shooter. Then they just have all the right pieces together. I think Maryland, you can never count that out. They're always top four in the Big Ten, potentially could be Big Ten champions. I think they could be the ones to knock off UCLA, just the style of play.
I
That help.
like it.
That might be a tough take, but I do think Brenda Freeze has a lot of experience just being at Maryland and just being in the Big Ten that I don't think UCLA has that yet. Of course, last year was their first year. So I think that could be used to their advantage when it comes to the Big Ten, but also March Madness.
I like it. And I know this is weird to say because it's about myself, but I sometimes even think I'm too low on Maryland. Like I do. I have doubts and I need to get over them. I need to force myself to get over my doubts that I have because I think they're gonna be really good. And like you said, like I know Yardinger's on game so well from her being here and the way that she's improved in these 3 years, incredible. Like she's a legit WNBA prospect. And I think she'll be good for them this year. I think this is another one where almost like I said about LSU, I think it might take time. I think they'll eventually, reach that ceiling and it'll be high, but I think it's going to take time. Bree McDaniel's still working her way back from that injury. Their post play is my biggest concern.
Yeah.
If they had Gracie Merkel, which that was the situation of the offseason that like confused me the most, I think.
Right.
When Gracie Merkel kind of announcing she was going to Maryland and then being like, no, wait, I'm going back to Penn State.
Yeah.
Obviously great for Penn State, higher ceiling for them, but made it tough for Maryland because the portal was closed. So they couldn't add anyone else at that point, and I'm a little bit concerned about their depth at that position and who's really going to step up. But their guard play is something I will not be worried about, trust in the slightest bit. Say that they're Poffenbarger, Yardinger's own, Alucci from Duke, like they got depth in their guard play, so they are someone that like you said, and I think I am maybe too low on them, and I think they are a dark horse. Like I like it. I like what the potential they have.
For sure. And they play that 5-out defense. So they really naturally they kind of play small already. So I can see them kind of playing to their advantage. But when you meet some of the tougher bigs in the Big Ten and also in March Madness, that could be a potential struggle that they might have to scheme a little bit better for that.
Yeah, you think they can beat UCLA with Lauren Betts all the way up here?
They're gonna definitely have to scheme to try to beat them. I mean, yeah, sometimes you just gotta let her have it. She's 6'7". She's gonna get her. It's about how you play those other players as well.
Oh, 1,000%, 1,000%. Well, those are the dark horses that we'll leave for now. I'm sure there'll be more that'll come up as the season starts. But something I want to talk about, and we alluded to it a little bit earlier, no Juju Watkins this year, which is disappointing. She was obviously one of the faces of this sport, one of the best players in the sport. If you're watching women's college basketball, you're watching Juju. You know who Juju is. You want to see her on your TV, and unfortunately, she won't be on your TV this year. And it's disappointing. Like, talk about how good she is, obviously, and then what kind of a blow this takes for USC.
Yeah, I think it's similar to when Paige got hurt, I believe, 1 or 2 years ago. And it's kind of just like a blow to the stomach as a women's basketball community. Because, like you said, she is one of the top faces of our league. And just how she's a three-level scorer, her mid-range jumper is like butter. I mean, she gets her spots. But I think an underrated part of her game is she knows how to get to the free throw line. She draws so many fouls because you got to play her tight, and she likes to use her body, and she has very good body control. And when you just have that big piece missing, not only just from USC, but from the game of women's basketball, it's definitely gonna be a change, and just prayers to her. I know she's missing this entire season, so praying for a healthy recovery for her. But yeah, I that one definitely hurts with no Juju Watkins this year.
You know what? And this might be, I hope no one bites this, but this might be crazy to say, but I'm glad she's sitting the whole season out. I don't want to rush her back. I want her to take her time and recover and come back, stronger than ever. Cause I think sometimes, we rush people back from those injuries because they're so important to the team, right? And obviously you want them on the court. And I like that USC is doing this, but not at the expense of her health and her progression back. So I'm glad that she's going to take this time, and I think she'll come back with more of a coach's brain, right? Because she'll be sitting there watching and learning. So I'm so sad we won't be seeing her on the court, but I'm happy she's taking her time. But on the other end of that, and people are crushing me for saying this, I don't know about USC this year. I don't know about them. Like, we talked about it for a minute, but there are so many question marks. They add some talented pieces I'm just not sure about yet.
Yeah, I think it's hard. It's hard when you have transfers and freshmen because you really just don't know. And I think it's gonna just be a test of time. I think it might take them a little while to kind of get their groove and get going. But I think around like Big Ten play around that December, January, I feel like they start getting their stride and just kind of seeing what their ceiling would be this year. Because when you have Juju, the ceiling is national championship. Without Juju, what kind of is the goal and the ceiling for them? I think that's unknown right now.
Well, it's funny you say that because before the start of last season, I had USC at number one in my ranking. I mean, number one, because when you have Juju, like, the ceiling, like, so high, like, you can do anything when you got Juju Watkins on your team.
Right.
Without her, and obviously with some of the other key pieces that they lost, right? Some of that veteran leadership who's been here and played together, it's tough to predict. And it's tough to predict any team right now with the landscape we're in, but I think they're one of the tougher ones for me to, like, sit down and look at on paper and be like, yeah, I know for sure they're going to be top 10, or even I know for sure they're going to be top 25, or like if they'll make the tournament, they will. I have no doubt about that in my mind. But they're a tough one to place for me, unlike the other team in Los Angeles.
Yes. The other team is 30 minutes away from that campus as well. It's hard. I definitely agree with everything you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other team in Los Angeles, UCLA, that I was kind of alluding to, I think this is their year. What do you think? I think this is their year.
I think they retain a lot back. You have Kiki Rice and you also have Lauren Betts, who the whole country knows at this point. And I just feel like they're well coached. They have a good philosophy. They have a good standard to the way they play. And you really just can't count them out. I mean, they're defending Big Ten champs. They have a defending Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, they've shown.
And her sister, her
Little sister. So that's a double whammy. So
Yeah.
they've shown that they can be consistent. I think last year it was kind of unfortunate to not see them to take that next step because that's where their ceiling was. So I think they have a chip on their shoulder this year. I think for them again, another one, title or bust this year. And let's see if they rise to the occasion.
I agree. I think, like, people have been talking for a few years about how, like, and people have been saying what I just said, like, this is UCLA's year, right? And then it ends up not being their year. But I think this is the year for them. Like, if there was to be a year, this is it. You have one of these offset pieces we talk about. You add Gianna Neepkins, who was so phenomenal at Utah for years and can do everything. You bring back Charlize Ledger-Walker, who can take over at point guard and get Kiki back to her natural position. I think it's just huge. Like, I think this really is it for them. And there's no better year than now. And the last thing I want to talk about before we go, because we could just yap for forever, is, and we mentioned a little bit earlier about TCU, but I want to talk about what they do because I think they're such an interesting team that, not to pat myself on the back, not many people had them high last season. I had them in there, and they ended up, being the Cinderella of last year a little bit, right? Make your first Elite Eight in program history. Mark Campbell, obviously his story was phenomenal from all those injuries, his first year to what they were able to do. So I think this year, kind of more of the same with different personnel. Everyone graduates, right? Because he's a big portaler, loves to portal. And he got in there and he did it again. And like we said, added some size, added Olivia Miles. He's got pieces to work with. Do you think? I don't think anyone's going to overlook him this year.
No, they definitely won't catch anybody surprise this year. I think everyone pretty much has them circled on the calendar with their recent Elite Eight run. I think what makes him such a great coach, and Haley Van Lith also alluded to this, is how personable he is with his players and that he genuinely cares for them. And you can see that in the post game speeches and how they embrace each other. It's a beautiful thing to see coaches and players have that kind of relationship. I think relationship and family, a family atmosphere, that will take you far. Like just that chemistry piece of a team, that really makes a difference when it comes to those tough games, when it comes to tough losses and bouncing back. All those things are factors. And when you have chemistry within a team, you can do some really big things.
And I think the thing I love most about that program and what they've done the past few years is they attack the type of kids they want, right? They get the type of kids they want. And that is a very specific archetype of kids with a chip on their shoulder. Like all of them. They all have a chip on their shoulder in some way, whether you look back to Sedona Prince and Haley Van Lith, or this year with Olivia Miles. And there's a few others who maybe, have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, right? And they want to win a national title. Like they want to do these things. They've had some maybe struggles in their college career in the past and are here to really improve their game, which is something that Mark Campbell can certainly do. And they're here to contend. And I do think I didn't put them in the dark horse because I don't know if they're going to win a title. I don't know if they're at that level, but I wouldn't like bat my eye if they made another Elite Eight, or even a Final Four. I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. It all just depends on how the pieces come together. And they did last year. We'll see if they can this year, right?
Right. It's always a tell of time. See how those different pieces gel together as well, because they might had that time last year, but now that more people have them on the schedule, it might not be the same thing. So we just got to see how they adapt to that different level of pressure too. And now they're going to get everyone's A game. I think that's another piece of top teams that a lot of people don't understand is you get everyone's A game. To them, that's a national championship. When you beat a team like that as a lower level seed or a lower team, you're going to give it your all. So you can't take any breaks at any time. And I think that's the pressure of a great team that has to be developed over time within culture. And I'm curious to see if TCU could kind of develop that and see where they go this year.
Genesis, can I put you on the spot really quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I need a couple answers from you.
Okay.
I want to start off. Who's the player you're most excited to watch? Doesn't have to be the best player in the country, but who's someone that you're so excited to just sit down and see what they can do this year?
Man, that's a great question. I gotta go with the Big Ten. I gotta go Maryland. Bree
Okay.
McDaniel.
Yeah.
Before her injury, she was such a spark for Maryland off the bench. But then when she started and she got hurt, and then she had this full year to recover. She is such a dynamic guard on both sides. She's another two-way player where she can play a defensive side and the offensive side. I can see her having a much bigger role this year as well. And also that chip on her shoulder. She was injured last year. That really just sucked the life out of the team. They went through a rough patch during her injury when it first became announced. And I'm really curious to see what she does this year. I think she's on target for me to have a breakout season.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for her to come back. I know she's still working her way back there now, but I'm hoping she'll be back sooner than later. I can see what she can do this year. Like I am, like you said, I think she adds another layer to their ceiling when she comes back from injury. Like I think she's one of those pieces that can really be a difference maker. So I'm excited to see what she can do. I'm gonna give you a team now. Tell me about a team that it really does not have to be a top team. It can be like a very middle of the road team that you're like, oh, there's something interesting about them, and I want to sit down and give them a watch. Who is it?
I'll say Richmond. I
I,
want to give some love to the mid-major.
I love
I'll
that.
say Richmond. I mean, to see what they did last year in the tournament just within their own conference. I mean, those mid-majors, like, they're like those Cinderella stories. Like, we all root for, like, the mid-major to make it a run in the NCAA tournament, and I think they've shown consistency also in the past couple of years, and I'm excited to see what they do this year with their schedule, but also just in their conference, winning another championship and punching that ticket again to the tournament.
And they got some great players on that team, let me tell you. Like I think kind of like we said about TCU, no one's going to overlook them anymore.
Right.
Which is good. Like I love how hard they scheduled there. And they really have the chance to win a lot of those games. But one of the teams they're playing, actually, another mid-major who I want to give a shout out. Let's see. I'm gonna start a mid-major shout out section on this podcast. We're gonna
Yeah, we might have to do that.
have to. I want to give it to Temple this week. I want to give it to Temple. I was able to hear about some secret scrimmages they might have had over the past couple weeks, where they beat two Big Ten teams, which is, really, really impressive stuff. And Temple wasn't, I talked to them at their media day and, felt good about them, but they weren't someone who was necessarily on my radar to come in and do that. And obviously it's a scrimmage and players, maybe didn't play and I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. But nonetheless, really, really impressive stuff. There were some really talented players. Delisa Molina is one that I want to shout out now.
Mhm.
But I'm excited to see if they can wreak some havoc, right?
Yeah. I mean, mid-majors already have that chip when they're playing those Power Force level schools. So to see they did that in a secret scrimmage, looking forward to see their actual season and non-conference schedule and what they do in those opportunities. But yeah, I'm excited for mid-majors. I think it's just one of those things you just get excited for when those mid-majors take down those Power Four schools.
Yeah, Genesis, I think you have to cut me off before I start going on rants about, South Dakota State and Delta and all these teams, these mid majors I want to talk about. You need to cut me off. We need to wrap this up before the season gets started, and then maybe we'll have a whole, mid major day where we can go through them all. But
Oh, we have all year to go through all the topics, all the conversations, all the storylines. So we'll definitely get into that.
absolutely. And obviously this episode was just us, but if you're bored of us by now, don't worry. We're gonna have some guests coming in that you're gonna want to tune in and listen to. Hopefully not bored of us yet, but if you get there, just know not just gonna be us talking to you, but I've had a blast breaking down all the things, not all, but most of the things we're looking forward to watching this season for women's college basketball. This has been Beyond the Arc with Talia and Genesis, with On 3 and Field of 68. It's been a blast, and the season as we're filming this, we got 5 sleeps left.